Way 31 is gathering information on a developing story in Huntsville. We've confirmed the Marshall Space Flight Center will manage the lunar lander program of the Artemis mission. Here's what else we've learned. On Friday, NASA Administrator Jim Bridenstine will be in the Rocket City. He's expected to release more information on that project. It's in the early stages right now. We're not sure if it'll be fully built in Huntsville. The lunar lander could eventually help NASA set up a colony on the moon, and the margin for error is slim. Our coverage continues with Way 31's Stephen Dilsizian, who spoke to a leading space contractor here in Huntsville that's built previous landers. Stephen?
Yeah, Dan, the lunar lander for NASA's Artemis project will transport astronauts from a space station called the Lunar Gateway to the surface of the moon. Now, one Dynetics employee that I talked to says it's going to be challenging, but he wants to be a part of it.
It's a different mission than any other mission we have. It is more challenging. It's probably got more at stake, more opportunities to fail.
Andy Crocker is the director of strategy for space at Dynetics. He's worked on 3 lander projects while at the Missile Defense Company, but says this one for NASA's Artemis mission is different.
This may be the 3rd time, and this one is certainly very serious. I think the nation is committed, the administration is committed.
NASA's Artemis mission is tasked with landing humans back on the moon by 2024. The end goal is to ultimately get to Mars. The Marshall Space Flight Center was designated the leader of the lunar lander element of this project. Dynetics is familiar with landers. The company worked on a robotic prototype in 2013. It was part of NASA's Mighty Eagle program as it tested technologies and software of a lander that can explore space. But the lander was small and never held any astronauts. The Artemis lander will not only be bigger and hold astronauts, but it will need to make multiple trips to and from the Lunar Gateway.
Heavy payloads into orbit and getting them all the way to lunar orbit and to the surface, but then you have to bring those humans back safely. It's a real struggle, and it kind of fights against what physics wants to give you.
Dynetics is one of 11 companies that received contracts from NASA to study different elements for the lunar lander. Specifically, the company is tasked with studying the descent stage. Crocker says no matter the stage, there isn't room for error because a life could be on the line.
If you lose a robot, even if it's $1 billion robot, you move on with your day. If you lose crew, it's a whole different situation, and so that's, we never want to do that, and we put ourselves in a position not to do that.
Crocker tells me many private companies want to be involved in this lunar lander project. Dynetics is waiting to hear if they're going to be involved in this next phase. They'll find out by the end of the year. Reporting live in Huntsville, Stephen Dilsizian, Way 31 News.
Thanks, Stephen. NASA officials also told us one of the biggest differences between Apollo and Artemis is how the agency will get the hardware it needs. In previous missions, NASA would buy the parts, but for Artemis, they'll rely heavily on the private aerospace industry.